The project charter. This is the first step in the project initiation phase. What is the project charter? It's an internal document that formally authorizes the start of the project. It is created by a project sponsor or senior executive within the organization and defines the authority of the project manager. The purpose of the project charter basically is to announce the start of the project. Once the donor has agreed and there is a contract, the charter helps announce the beginning of the project. It also authorizes the project manager to begin the project. It is a document that also identifies the person who has been selected to manage the project. It describes the nature and scope of the work and broadly defines some of the project objectives, schedule, and your budget. The benefits of the project charter is that with a simple document, it helps have a good understanding by all the key stakeholders of what is the project. It also clarifies some of the basic roles and responsibilities within the project and sets up the project governance, how decisions are going to be made in the project. So instead of sending or trying to distribute the contract and the design, the simple document can be used by the project manager to communicate what is the project to key stakeholders, especially internal stakeholders. So the content of project charter, it's a simple document. It will have information about the project manager, the purpose of the goal, information about the beneficiaries and key stakeholders, some information about the project constraints, assumptions and risks, and how the project is going to be organized. Those sections in the project charter will have a title and the date of the authorization, an identification of who is the project manager, some information about the start and finish date of the project. It doesn't need to be a complete schedule, just basic milestones about the schedule, and so that it can fit within the constraints of a small document. Some basic information again about the budget or sources of funding of the project. It will describe the project objectives as at the approach of the project, listing some of the key assumptions and risks of the project. It will define some of the important roles and responsibilities, specifically the roles of the sponsor, the project manager, and the steering committee. It will also sometimes have good references to some related documents like the contract, the project design, and the project approach, or whatever information was used to develop the project, and a section on the sign-off comments. The idea is that the document is developed by the project sponsor. And who is the project sponsor? It is an executive or senior director who owns the project and supports within the organization. Usually is the supervisor of the project manager, and based on his authority, he delegates the responsibilities of managing the project to the project manager. He signs the project charter, and the sponsor is also the person who makes sure that the project has the resources needed, and he helps also obtain commitment from all the key stakeholders. So based on his level of supervision, he has authority within the organization to delegate the responsibilities to a project manager. The charter also helps keep the project aligned with development goals, and the sponsor is a key advocate of the project. He not only communicates on behalf of the project, but he also makes sure that the project has all the resources needed and has the commitment from key stakeholders to support the project. He also helps deal with project issues across the organization. So there are going to be levels in which a project manager doesn't have the level of authority. The sponsor will be the person who then helps and creates that support to the project and helps manage those issues. Eventually, and one of the other roles of the project sponsor is to chair the steering committee, and he makes sure that the project is on the schedule and budget and scope. So in those meetings with the project team, the project manager, and other key stakeholders, the steering committee, the idea is that he is not only chairing, but making sure that the project is achieving its goals. So he will not only support it and be an advocate, but he'll also have a role of monitoring. Now, the project sponsor is not going to be micromanaging, and that's an important distinction. That is the responsibility of the project manager. The project sponsor is usually the person who supports the project within the organization. He's also sometimes the person who can speak on behalf of the project to government officials, because he has a level of authority within the organization. He has access to those levels within the different organizations. It could be the funding or the donor organization, government officials, partner organizations, and he will be the person who then the project manager can look for when there are issues with certain stakeholders or situations within the organization. So the sponsor is somebody within the organization who is going to be supporting the project and providing guidance also to the project manager to make sure that the project is achieving its goal. So this is an important role that we discussed during the project implementation phase, because that person is going to be part of the project process and the governance process within the life cycle of the project. And not only because he signs and appoints a project manager, but it also has an important role in supporting the project.